Hi again, and welcome back. My name is Lekha Sapers, and I'm the author of Rhode Island Computer Museum's Data Storage Series, a grant partnership with the Rhode Island Council for Humanities. This podcast, concurrent with a series of blog posts, is an exploration of miscellaneous data storage technologies from its most primitive era till now. To learn more, visit the Rhode Island Computer Museum website at ricomputermuseum.org. For my blog posts, visit that same website and search for data storage when prompted. But for more about me, visit lekhasapers.github.io. Again, this is Lekha Sapers, and let's get started today learning a bit about the floppy disk. Floppy disks are more than just relics of a bygone era. They're markers of how quickly digital storage evolved in just a few decades. Their story, from the oversized 8-inch disks to the compact 3.5-inch ones, tracks the broader cultural and technological shift from centralized, inaccessible computers to personal machines sitting on home desks. Today, we're going to walk through that story, not just as a timeline of technical upgrades, but as a way of understanding how these small physical objects changed the way people interacted with technology. So the story begins in the early 1970s, when IBM introduced the first 8-inch floppy disks. At the time, computers were massive, immobile systems, and moving data between them was slow, expensive, and very, very complicated. The 8-inch floppy didn't solve every problem, but it was a real step in the right direction. Suddenly, you could back up data, load programs, and transfer files without needing specialized equipment. Storage capacity was modest, though, somewhere between 80 kilobytes and 1 megabyte. But for the first time, data was finally portable and not stuck in some massive computer that could not be budged. The disks themselves, though, were delicate. A thin magnetic film was protected only by a flexible plastic sleeve. But they set the precedent that data could move independently from machines, and that was a very powerful idea. By the mid-1970s, the focus of computing shifted. Mainframes were still important, but the rise of personal computing demanded something smaller, cheaper, and easier to handle. The 5.25-inch floppy emerged from this need, largely credited to Shugart Associates. It was simply just a scaled-down version of the original floppy. Same basic idea, just lighter, more compact, and more affordable. Storage ranged from about 360 kilobytes up to 1.2 megabytes in later high-density versions. These disks powered machines like the Apple II, the Commodore 64, and the original IBM PC. If you owned a computer in the late 70s or early 80s, chances are you knew the feeling of sliding a 5.25-inch floppy into the drive, hoping it wouldn't get eaten by the machine. These disks made computing personal. They made it possible to write your own programs, store your own documents, and pass around software hand to hand. In 1984, Sony introduced what would become the definitive floppy disk, the 3.5-inch, smaller still, but more durable thanks to its rigid plastic casing and sliding metal shield. It solved many of the reliability issues that plagued earlier designs. Originally offering 720 kilobytes of storage, and later the now iconic 1.44 megabytes, the 3.5-inch floppy became the standard throughout the late 80s and 90s. Beyond technical improvements, it changed how people thought about data itself. Not something ephemeral or inaccessible, but something you could carry around in your pocket, hand to a friend, or boot up your entire computer with. The physicality of it, the click of insertion, the mechanical spin-up, became part of the quintessential early computing experience. By the late 1990s, though, the limits of floppy disks were impossible to ignore. Storage demands grew faster than floppies could keep up with, and new formats such as CDs, external drives, USB sticks quickly replaced them. By the early 2000s, floppy disks were functionally obsolete for most people. But, like I mentioned before, their legacy is more than just nostalgia. Floppy disks made computing accessible. They laid the foundation for the software distribution industry. They taught millions of users that they could control, save, and move digital information themselves. And also, For those of the digital native generation, the floppy disk is now known as the one, the only save icon. In a way, floppy disks marked the transition from computers as institutional tools to computers as personal extensions of individual life. The evolution from the massive 8-inch floppies through the practical 5.25-inch ones to the sturdy 3.5-inch disks tells a bigger story about speed, miniaturization, accessibility, and the deepening relationship between people and technology. It's a reminder that even the smallest, most unassuming pieces of hardware can shift the entire direction of an industry and, in turn, reshape the culture around it.